Middleweight bout here. Gregory Rodrigues coming in at minus 345 against Denis Tiuliulin, who sits at plus 255. Over under 1.5 rounds, plus 135 for the over, minus 165 for the under. Gregory Rodrigues coming off the loss where he was a pretty sizable favorite, closer to the price that he's at right now. That was back in January when he lost via first round KO to Bruno Ferreira. He's coming in here against Denis Tiuliulin, who doesn't have the best record, but does have some power in the hands. He's got all but all but two of his wins are by KO. The big problem for him has been getting submitted. And in this one, we all know Gregory Rodrigues has the ability to use the submissions and use the takedowns and use that BJJ, but he just never really uses it. I'm interested to see if he uses it in this one because he probably needs a bounce back win. It seems like Gregory Rodrigues should just, completely demolish Denis Tiuliulin in this spot, but Gregory Rodrigues finds himself in close fights, in dog fights, like for no apparent reason. And he could get into one here against Denis Tiuliulin. Most likely should win, but do you think he pulls it off or do you think he shits the bed?
Yeah, I think he should win this fight, and he needs to win this fight based off, getting knocked out by Bruno Ferreira, who just got knocked out himself, and it was Bruno's, UFC debut. And he got hit so clean, and he does leave himself open. I mean, he's been hurt in fights before. Armin Petrosian had a ton of success on the feet against him. And, coming into this fight against Denis, I think people are going to overlook Denis a little bit based off of his last performance against Jung Young Park, who we saw as obviously one of the better fighters in the division. I don't care what anybody says. Like, we saw that in his last performance. Mm-hmm. And then before that, beats Jamie Pickett, which he should have. He finished that fight in the second round. And he lost the fight before that in his debut. But if you watch him on the feet, like, he obviously has power. The dude swings hard. He's going to throw volume at you. I think he throws at least 5.35 significant strikes per minute, or he lands that many. So that's a good number. Does get hit a little bit. So he's going to have to weather a storm because Gregory Robocop hits pretty damn hard. Like you can just tell. You can tell by looking at him. He just holds a lot of power. So he's going to have to watch out for that. But if you look at Denis's two of his last three fights or losses are Jung Young Park and Ikram Aliskerov before the UFC. So it's not like he's fighting cans. It's not like he's losing to cans. He's losing to pretty good fighters. So I wouldn't be surprised if this fight turns into a dog fight on the feet and they're just kind of rocking each other back and forth. And, we saw Gregory Rodrigues take a brutal knockout in his last fight. So if Denis Tiuliulin touches the chin, he could shock a lot of people here. For the pick, I think Gregory has the tools to get this one done. But if you play Denis Tiuliulin by KO, it's probably not a bad little bet.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad bet whatsoever. But for the pick, I got to go with Gregory Rodrigues as well, because it seems like a layup for him, part of it is like, all right, Denis came into the UFC basically having to fill in for a guy and then fought Jamie Pickett, got a win against him, and then gets absolutely smoked by Jung Young Park. Like, he looked like he didn't belong in that octagon. So then you look at Gregory Rodrigues, who was supposed to fight Brad Tavares at the Brazil card earlier this year, who Brad Tavares, I don't think he was ranked, but he's, on the bubble of being ranked type fighter, who we just talked about earlier. He's supposed to fight Brad Tavares. Tavares pulls out. They give him a short notice guy in Bruno Ferreira, who's making his debut. And he was a big favorite. He was supposed to win that fight. Probably just took the fight because he wanted to fight in Brazil, and then ends up getting knocked out. And then it's like, all right, where do you go from here? Well, we probably got to get you back on track with a win, because let's be honest, who's going to go farther in the UFC? Gregory Rodrigues is. And it just seems like it's kind of a layup for him. Will he make it easy? Probably not. So that's why I'm not really going to look to, bet on Gregory Rodrigues too much. Maybe you just take the KO prop, or maybe even a submission prop. Maybe look at that one, because that's probably going to be a little bit better of a price, because Tiuliulin's been submitted 4 times, and that's just not really how Gregory Rodrigues fights, but he does have the capability. So I maybe look at that. But yeah, it's going to be Gregory Rodrigues for the pick. But once again, it's like, he just doesn't make it easy on you, especially if you're a better on Gregory at chalk. you're going to be puckering your cheeks the whole fight. So
Yeah.
there's that.